Have you ever tasted something that's sweet, it's sour, it's salty, it's bitter, and it's pungent all at once? It's a surprising experience, one that makes your eyebrows rise and your taste buds dance. Allow me to introduce you to one of my favourite adaptogens, Schisandra, botanically known as Schisandra chinensis. She's the five-flavour berry. And today we're exploring this beautiful little powerhouse through the lens of both herbalism and leadership. Because sometimes what supports your liver and your lungs also helps you show up with more presence and potency in the boardroom and at home. Let's get started, shall we?
You're the one they turn to, the calm one, the capable one, the one with the answers. And yet, beneath it all, you know there's more available for you. More energy, more clarity, more unshakable presence. Welcome to Project Joyful, the podcast for health-centered leaders. I'm Tracy Tutty. Here, we speak to the part of you that knows leadership isn't about doing more. It's about becoming more fully who you are. So let's begin, shall we?
So, Schisandra has held a long-standing respected place in traditional healing systems, especially in traditional Chinese medicines, where it's known as Wu Wei Zi, or five-flavour seed. Now, that name is no exaggeration. If you've ever tasted Schisandra, and I highly recommend it because it tastes amazing, each berry contains all 5 fundamental flavours: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and pungent. In TCM, this unique flavour profile signals its ability to affect multiple organs and energy systems. It was traditionally used to calm the spirit, nourish the kidneys, and secure the essence, so it was considered to be a full body tonic. But the story doesn't stop there. In Siberian folklore, Schisandra was considered an endurance enhancer. Hunters and trappers in the taiga forest would chew a handful of the dried berries to suppress hunger, boost night vision, and sustain physical exertion over long distances in often freezing conditions. And it was also given to the sled dogs to keep them going through snow and through wind. Now, the endurance it gave wasn't just physical. These communities spoke of Schisandra as offering a kind of spiritual grit, a plant that didn't just strengthen the body, but held it together when the elements pushed back. It was a quiet kind of power, a stabilizing force. In ancient times, warriors used the berry as a training ritual. Eating it raw was known as the five-flavour challenge, a sensory experience that awakened both the body and the mind. And if you could handle the berry, you could handle life's unpredictability. Now, I don't know why handling the berry was a big deal, because it's actually really tasty. But it was considered a way to build tolerance, both physically and emotionally. And in some Eastern European traditions, it became known as the berry that keeps secrets. It was tucked into children's clothing for protection, carried during travel for strength, and offered as a token of resilience. In all of these stories, Schisandra is more than a herb. It's a symbol of integration, of holding complexity without being overwhelmed by it. And what I love most is how modern research is catching up with traditional long-standing observation. It's validating what traditional practitioners have known all along. So these berries don't just taste complex. They work in complex, interconnected ways, supporting the very systems most under pressure in modern life: your liver, your stress response, your energy, and your clarity. So let's explore what the research shows us. So in Western herbalism, Schisandra is understood as a powerful adaptogen, supporting your body's response to stress while promoting energy, supporting liver health, and enhancing cognitive clarity. In relation to stress and fatigue, Schisandra modulates the HPA axis. That's the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. And this is your body's central stress response system. So when it's functioning well, the HPA axis regulates the release of cortisol, your primary stress hormone, and then under chronic stress, the system can become dysregulated, leading to either an overproduction or an underproduction of cortisol. So if you've got too much cortisol, you might feel wired but exhausted. We call it wired and tired. You might have trouble sleeping. You might be holding on to abdominal weight. You might feel irritable and anxious. Too little cortisol and your energy flatlines. You wake up tired, you feel foggy all day, and you find it really hard to bounce back from everyday stresses. And Schisandra helps to regulate this system. It supports your body's ability to respond to stress without overreacting. Schisandra is also amazing when it comes to liver health and detoxification. And the research shows that Shisandra's lignans enhance both phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification pathways. Phase 1 is like your liver's chemical disassembly line. It breaks toxins down into smaller, often more reactive components. And then phase 2 is the cleanup crew. They neutralize those byproducts and make them safe to excrete through your bile or urine. Now, if phase 1 speeds ahead but phase 2 lags behind, those reactive byproducts can build up and cause damage. And Schisandra helps to keep these phases moving in sync like a well choreographed dance. It also increases the production of glutathione. So, glutathione is one of the liver's most powerful antioxidants. It acts like a molecular sponge, mopping up oxidative stress and protecting cells from damage. And this is particularly important for people who are taking medications because the liver is responsible for processing those drugs. So, the speed at which your liver metabolizes a medicine can determine how long it stays active in your system. And we call this its half life. So, if your detox pathways are too fast or too slow, it can change how effective that medication is or how likely it is to cause side effects. Now, it's really important to see a medical herbalist if you're taking medications rather than Googling stuff and working things out alone because we're trained in herb drug and supplement drug interactions, and that can help to ensure that your herbal support complements your prescriptions safely and effectively. Now, one of the key things around Schisandra being an adaptogen is in relation to its cognitive and nervous system support. So, for example, a 2019 study by Liu and colleagues at Beijing University of Chinese Medicine found that Schisandra enhances neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, dopamine, and serotonin. And what this means is that it supports sharper focus, improved memory, and a more balanced mood, particularly in high stress environments. And it's also shown neuroprotective effects. So it reduces oxidative stress in the brain and it helps to preserve mental clarity over time. Let's talk about Schisandra in relation to respiratory and immune resilience. Schisandra has mild expectorant properties that help to clear excess mucus and support healthy lung function. It's been used traditionally for dry coughs and to support lung vitality during recovery from illness. So, for example, a 2020 study by Lee, etc., at Seoul National University showed that Schisandra reduces inflammation in lung tissue and it helps to regulate cytokines. And cytokines are the chemical messages that coordinate immune activity. So, by modulating the immune response rather than suppressing or overstimulating it, Schisandra helps your body to stay responsive and resilient. And this is especially important during times of transition, travel, or chronic stress, because those sorts of changes also have an impact on your immune system. Schisandra is great for energy and mitochondrial function. So, energy production happens inside your cells in tiny structures called mitochondria, and these guys are the key to your energy. They generate ATP, which is also in the longer form called adenosine triphosphate. ATP is so much easier to say. The cellular fuel that powers everything from brain function to muscle contractions. Now, ATP synthesis is the process your body uses to produce this energy currency. Think about it like charging a battery. And when your body's stress load is high or you're recovering from illness, your mitochondria can struggle to meet demand. In a 2021 study by Kim and colleagues at Busan National University, they found that Schisandra protects your mitochondria from oxidative stress and it enhances the efficiency of ATP synthesis. So this allows your cells to create and use energy more effectively. What's the result of this? You get more stable energy. You get better endurance and you get a quicker recovery from physical or mental fatigue. So really, this one berry speaks to pretty much every system under strain. So, like a number of adaptogens, while Schisandra is generally well tolerated, there are important safety considerations to be aware of. If you have active liver disease or significant inflammation, Schisandra may not be appropriate, at least not without clinical supervision. So, we've already talked about how Schisandra supports the liver's detox pathways, but if your liver's already inflamed or it's struggling, pushing it to work harder can do more harm than good. Schisandra affects your liver enzymes, specifically CYP3A4 and CYP2C9. And these are responsible for breaking down many medications. So this means it can speed up or slow down how those drugs are processed. For example, if you're taking a statin for cholesterol or a blood thinner like warfarin, Schisandra can change how long that drug stays active in your system. So that affects both safety and effectiveness in relation to your medications. And that's why it's so important to talk to a trained medical herbalist, someone who understands how herbs and medications interact at a clinical level. Now, in higher doses, Schisandra can be a bit drying or irritating to the digestive tract. So, if you're prone to reflux or you've got a sensitive stomach, you might notice some discomfort with Schisandra. And this is why it's best to start with a lower dose and take it with food, especially if you're using extracts or tinctures. When we look at the research, it's clear that Schisandra offers real, tangible support for the systems we lean on most when life gets intense. But beyond the pathways and protocols, herbs also have personalities. And when you spend enough time with them, you begin to feel how they move in your body and what they call forward in you. So, Schisandra doesn't just nourish that function, it invites integration. And that's where it starts to get really interesting, especially when we're applying a leadership lens, right? When you lead, every system in your body becomes a system in your leadership. How you metabolize stress, how clearly you think under pressure, how quickly you recover after a challenge, these aren't just personal qualities. They shape how your team experiences you, how your vision lands, and how safe others feel to follow you. And that's where Schisandra can come in. Now, this isn't a quick fix herb. It's a harmonizer. It's a recalibrator. It sharpens the signals between your body and your mind. So you're not making decisions from survival mode, but from presence. And its support for mitochondrial health, well, that's not just about energy. It's about endurance. The kind of energy that doesn't spike and crash, but carries you through a season of intensity with your clarity intact. Its action on the HPA axis, well, it's not just about cortisol. It's about staying anchored in your authority when the room gets noisy, being able to discern what's yours to carry and what isn't. And its support for detoxification, it's more than just liver function. It mirrors the kind of internal clarity that seasoned leaders value. Schisandra helps you to release what's no longer useful, physically, mentally, emotionally, so your leadership stays clean, congruent, and unclouded. As an adaptogen, Schisandra trains your system to respond rather than react. Promotes a dynamic kind of resilience, one where you stay mentally agile even as the landscape shifts. You think more clearly, you recover faster, you adapt without eroding your center. You don't need more drive, you need cleaner fuel. And that's the quiet power of Schisandra. It doesn't shout, it integrates. So, whether you're navigating a high stakes conversation, you're recalibrating after burnout, or you're simply wanting to meet your day with more clarity and strength, Schisandra offers a steady kind of support, not by forcing change, but by helping your systems remember how to speak to each other. It's a reminder that leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about the state you do it from. And if you'd like to explore how everyday herbs can support that state, how they can become a quiet but powerful leadership ally, I invite you to join our free monthly email series, Herbs for Health. Each month, we spotlight one beautiful plant. You'll discover how that plant supports your sleep, perhaps, or your stress response, your mood, or your immunity, without that supplement aisle overwhelm. Just clarity, simplicity, and strategy that honors the intelligence of your body. Because leadership thrives when your inner world is in sync with the outer one. You can sign up at www.tracytutty.co.nz/herbs for health. And that's herbs number 4, health. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, stay curious, stay aligned, and stay well. Sending you lots of love. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Can I ask you a favour? If our conversation spoke to you today, could you please take a moment to leave a 5-star review? Your review will help people discover this podcast, and together we can create a world where there's even more love and more laughter. And if you want to hear more from the Project Joyful podcast, just click the subscribe button. Bye for now.